Hi, and welcome to this live reading from The Anchornaut by DonnaLee Overley, and this is presented by NC Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1. Gabby sits erect. Her pounding heart threatens to burst out of her chest. The thundering beats reverberate in her head, blocking all sound, and her lungs suck in rapid breaths. Her skin is wet, her eyes open wide. The clock glares 2:23 a.m. Noting the familiar curtains and furniture lessens her horror. Gabby hangs her head, allowing her blonde hair to tumble over her hands as she covers her face, wiping moisture from her brow. Shivering, she rubs her arms to rid her body of goosebumps. The disturbing images carved into her brain cannot be removed as easily. She had been campaigning with Richard, and the crowd that had gathered pushed closer. Placing one foot behind another, she had backed away, but the space created instantly filled. Banners blocked her view, and elbows dug into her back. The gap between them grew. Far in the distance, she located his tall frame and dark brown hair. She waved her arms and called his name to get his attention, but her actions proved worthless as the noise was deafening. Darkness closed around, collapsing her world, the fear of suffocating rattling. Fighting to breathe, she pushed and elbowed back at the faceless bodies pressing, crushing, and stealing her air. Her sliver of hope to reunite with Richard evolved into a desperate struggle to survive as the monster of fear consumed her body. Was this nightmare a warning? A sign that she's making a grave mistake? Chapter 2. During the wee morning hours that follow, she tosses and turns in bed as sleep escapes. She should have gotten out of bed hours ago and done something useful instead of wasting time, staring as minutes click by on her bedside clock. Donning her blue silk robe, she pads across the hall and quietly stands in the doorway of her 8-month-old son's room. Matthew is lying on his stomach, with his fingers around his favorite toy, a wooden horse carved by Greg, a disabled veteran who works at the horse center. Watching Matthew, his sweet face exuding innocence and perfection, always brings a soft smile to her. Inhaling his scent calms her as though she has meditated, pushing the nightmare into the recesses of her mind. Of all the mistakes she has made in her life, Matthew is not one of them. Even before he was born, her son became her saving grace, her only reason to live after her husband Brett died. They were only married a few months when a bull riding accident put Brett in a coma, and he never woke up. If she's not careful, these horrific memories resurface to haunt her. However, now, looking at her baby's brown hair, mouth, and chin, those features resemble a different lover, Richard Wright, the gubernatorial candidate for the state of Texas. No, she's not Mrs. Wright, but she does wear his ring. Yes, it's complicated because few know that Matthew is the candidate's son. She twirls the emerald-cut diamonds surrounded by sapphires adorning her left hand. It's the opposite configuration of the large oval sapphire of the late Princess Di's engagement ring from Charles, the Prince of Wales. Since history records a failed royal marriage, this ring's reverse design will represent the opposite, a marriage that will thrive. After proposing, Richard explained that if he's elected, the public transparency of their relationship will create obstacles, much like the royals faced. They need to be aware and prepared. 1 week ago, everything in her world seemed right when the handsome, dark-haired man, whose face graces the front cover of most local newspapers daily, got down on one knee and spoke of a future that would launch any girl into a star-studded heaven. His sincerity gleamed, revealing the golden flecks sparkling in his brown eyes. He had spoken of love and a promising future, and she believed that he had changed, moving beyond his playboy reputation. This Princess Di prototype was not the first ring this couple had exchanged, as they have a history. 4 years ago, their relationship soured when Richard cheated. Remorseful after her discovery, he begged for another chance, but she didn't extend forgiveness. Shortly thereafter, she'd found true love with Brett Matthews. This once-in-a-lifetime love had compared to those that graced the pages of fairy tales. They fell in love and married. However, unlike the storybook Happily Ever After, Brett left this world a victim of a traumatic brain injury, leaving behind only memories. As she centers the engagement ring on her finger, the nostalgia of her painful past dulls the sparkle. However, the past is the past, and for survival, she must move on. To escape those memories, she vowed to start a whole new life. Richard Wright, the man destined to be the next governor of Texas, a man her father handpicked and financially backed, is her ticket for change. Her daddy, Wayne King, a wealthy oil and cattle rancher, envisioned a fantastic future for his 31-year-old daughter if she accepted Richard's proposal. His logic seemed like the perfect course of action, and her daddy's wisdom has always faithfully guided her, so she agreed. but this latest nightmare has caused her to question her decision. But it's not Richard or his career that causes her angst. It's her heart that hides a secret. Daily, she paints on her lipstick smile and follows through with acts that resemble love, but her heart knows it's a lie. Right now, she's trying to help with Richard's political endeavors, hoping that in striving for a mutual goal, love will follow. She did love him once and desperately wants to love him again. So she takes stock in her daddy's vision and reminds herself that it's best for them to be a family, with Matthew raised by his father. A few hours later, Gabby inspects her image in her bedroom's large oval mirror. She's wearing a light mint green chiffon that falls 6 inches short of her knees, revealing just enough of her shapely leg. Pleased with the look, she completes her outfit with a cream jacket and matching Chanel purse. She's sure to be in the lens of several photographers' cameras on her walk to campaign headquarters. It all comes with the territory as the fiancée of the candidate who leads in the polls. To complete her look, she applies a peachy orange color to her lips, the perfect tone to complement her hair and green dress. The doorbell chimes as she tucks a blonde hair behind her ear to expose her amethyst earrings, another of Richard's many expensive gifts. "Miss Gabby, hi!" The perky university graduate student flashes a perfect smile, evidence that her parents invested in braces for their daughter. "Lola, thank you for being on time." Despite her circumstances, Lola's positive, contagious attitude won Gabby over during her initial interview. As the girl studies for a master's degree in clinical psychology at the local university, she works several jobs to pay her bills. Gabby was so impressed with Lola's firm commitment to earning her degree that she offered to finance Lola's tuition and housing bill in exchange for childcare. The young woman cried joyful tears before practically knocking Gabby off her feet with a gigantic hug of gratitude. Lola passes through the entrance whistling. "Wow, you look fantastic. The press is going to love this outfit. You deserve the entire front page. Mr. Wright made the right choice when he chose you." She smiles at her cleverness in using Richard's campaign slogan as she drops her backpack on the breakfast room chair, then picks up Matthew from his bouncer. According to the news, his lead over Harold Green is more than 15%. Green's too old for office. Gen Xers want a leader with fresh ideas, something new and different from Texas. My friends talk about Richard. They think he's handsome. I'll be sure to tell him that. Gabby straightens the collar of a jacket she's wearing for the first time, acknowledging that her image is now part of Richard's political platform. After Richard proposed, her daddy flew her in the King Air plane to Houston for a shopping spree. She recalls his words. "All eyes will be on you, princess. Richard may be running for office, but it's you they'll be photographing. Never wear the same dress twice." He had then kissed her hand and whispered, "You, my dear daughter, will be the next first lady of this great state. Your mama would be so proud." With that, he wiped a tear from his eye. Anna had passed away more than a decade ago. Since then, he married Rita Adams, the lively widow who owns the art gallery where Gabby sells her paintings. Over time, working at ArtSmart, the two women developed a good relationship as Rita filled the void left by Anna's death, providing motherly guidance. As of late, the two women aren't as close as they had once been. Ironically, the widening gap is over a matter of the heart, the elder woman's proclaimed area of expertise. The disagreement is rooted in Gabby's friendship with Stan, the eldest of Rita's two sons. What's a mother to do when she sees her son wallow in unrequited love? As Rita painfully watched Stan's emotional turmoil, she related everything that had gone wrong in his life to Gabby: his motorcycle accident, rehab stint, and general moodiness. In Rita's opinion, Gabby takes advantage of her son's good nature since he'll do anything she asks. With something as simple as a glance or a touch to his arm, Stan is sucked into Gabby's vortex. However, Rita appreciates that her 37-year-old son is striking out to cure his lovesick disease. Recently, he asked Maria, his delightful 24-year-old coworker at the Equine Center, to be his wife. However, a mother never loses the ability to sense the pain lurking behind her child's eyes. She senses that Marie notices it too, since she has yet to accept his proposal. Gabby grabs her Chanel purse and sunglasses from the entry table, then kisses a smiling Matthew who's happy to be in Lola's arms. "Bye-bye, my little love. Be a good boy and take your nap so Lola can study, deal?" Matthew reaches toward her with his tiny hand. She kisses it. "Mommy needs to go. See you later." "Bye, Miss King. I'll take him for a stroll around the lake. It's such a beautiful fall day." "Thank you," she calls over her shoulder. "Phone if you need me." Lola lifts Matthew's arm as if waving goodbye. Gabby will walk the 8 blocks to campaign headquarters. Since her usual morning jogging routine has been interrupted by reporters and journalists, walking is her only exercise. Walk whenever possible is the first of many of her daddy's rules she's expected to obey. As she brings the entire set of campaign rules to mind, she hears them in her daddy's deep, commanding voice. Walk whenever possible. Others will recognize you and mention seeing you to friends. Dress fashionably, but always conservatively. Everyone who approaches represents his village, thus not one vote, but many. Never seem to be in a hurry, as this can be interpreted as disrespectful and rude. There are no strangers, only friendly voters. Make them feel important. These are just a few rules on the playbook of do's and don'ts. In addition to the playbook, Gabby gets a daily schedule emailed to her by Amanda Jason, the perky young campaign manager. She walks at a brisk pace, and squinting in the bright sun, she dons her sunglasses. Thinking she's in for a peaceful trip is a mistake. In a matter of seconds, the clicking of heels indicates a woman is approaching. Miss King, a minute of your time, please. Christine Walker with local station KAL. Gabby pastes on her smile, then turns. Good morning, can I help you? Reluctantly, she takes the business card the reporter is waving in her face. She remembers more of her daddy's words. Always take the card and let them see you put it in a safe place. Mr. Wright spoke before local museums directors last evening. Do you support his views on the future of the State Museum? Gabby smiles because her daily morning email anticipated this question and provided her with the proper scripted answer. The man behind a huge projector accompanies the attractive 30-something reporter. We're recording. I hope that's okay. Of course. Gabby removes her sunglasses, shows a flash of white, and then turns a few degrees to capture her best profile before reciting her answer. Richard Wright understands the value of Texas's rich history and supports the expansion project. The education of our youth is a top priority. Expanding our current museum will provide additional knowledge for students and all citizens and visitors alike. Miss King, on a personal note, have you and Mr. Wright set a date for your wedding? The answer is another scripted text she has memorized, but her smile fades. No, we haven't. Our first and only priority is the election. Is it likely your wedding will take place in the governor's mansion and will be televised for all Texans? Mr. Wright would be the first Texas governor to marry while in office. Christine is not backing down. Is it Gabby's imagination or is the cameraman closer? That's an interesting concept, but as I have answered, the election is our first and only priority. She steps back and replaces her sunglasses. Thank you for asking. Now you must excuse me. She nods as instructed, showing her appreciation for the opportunity to engage with the reporter. Facing the direction of campaign headquarters, she increases her pace. To hell with the rules. Under her dark lenses, she rolls her eyes when she notices the footsteps are still within earshot. Doesn't Christine need to get the interview ready for the noonday news? Why is she still following me? Miss King, just one more quick question about your up-and-coming marriage. In the wake of your husband's death, do you think you will wear white? With the microphone thrust inches from her face, the question takes her by surprise. Please, I'm going to be late. After the election, there will be more time for wedding details. Now, excuse me. I would love an interview with Senator Wright. Can you put in a good word for me? I've called his office almost daily without results. Her voice trails off with those last words. Journalism was once a male-dominated job. Women wishing to advance in this chosen career must be exceptional. Gabby recalls her own professional struggles and her heart softens, feeling some compassion for the reporter's persistence. Extending kindness would be an example of women supporting each other. She makes an about face in both her attitude and direction, offering her hand. It's been a pleasure, Christine. I have your card. I'll check with Richard's manager to get you that interview. Promise. Wow, thanks, really? Her mouth hangs open as she shakes hands. Thank you. That would be awesome. Really great. Gabby's laugh is honest. Christine, I need my arm back, okay? Oh, sorry, I got carried away. Her face turns red as she pulls her hand away and her shoulders back. Gabby continues her walk down Congress Avenue, the main street through town, her step a bit higher with satisfaction that she had brightened the reporter's day. Richard's campaign posters adorn most storefront windows. Right, the right choice for governor. Tagline is everywhere. The signs, equal blue and red fields with the word freedom written to resemble graffiti, were designed after one of her paintings. She remembers when Richard walked into ArtSmart and purchased her freedom painting. She had thought he was kidding when he told her to take it to the register, but since then he has focused his campaign on her concept of freedom. It is fun to see her artwork and gratifying to think she's helping his gubernatorial campaign.